it is not the U.S. job to be involved in Israel-Iran conflict. Let me know if you believe that in the comments. I do.
Now is Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky. Senator Paul, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Unfortunately, I have to start with this horrific news out of Minnesota, this act of political violence, the assassination of a state lawmaker there and her husband, 2 others injured in the hospital recovering. Senator, what was your reaction to hearing the news?
I think nothing brings us together more than, mourning for somebody else who's in political life, Republican or Democrats. We come together about this. I was there at the shooting in 2017 when Steve Scalise almost died, just feet away from another young staffer that was shot just next to me. So I'm aware of this. I've been the victim of political violence. I had 6 ribs broken and part of my lung removed. So we know about this. We're very aware of it. But our hearts and prayers go out to the families.
Yeah, our hearts and prayers go out to the families as well. It's been 8 years since that attack that, of course, where Congressman Scalise was shot. Thank you for sharing that memory with us. I do want to turn now overseas to the Middle East. In fact, it's an active situation right now. It's our understanding that Iran is sending missiles striking Tel Aviv as we're having this conversation. You've warned President Trump not to get involved in the conflict between Israel and Iran, saying, quote, a war with Iran would make Iraq look like a skirmish. But have a look at what Senator Lindsey Graham argues should happen if Iran does not come to the negotiating table. He says, quote, if Iran refuses this offer of the United States, I strongly believe it is in America's national security interest to go all in to help Israel finish the job.
So for some reason, I really don't know much about him, but Lindsey Graham, every time I see him, he's saying like some tough shit. And he don't look one bit as tough. It's just like, the you got a group and like the shortest, smallest kid in the group is the one like, yeah, let's get him. Yeah, we should get him. We should. And it's like, you won't even be doing it. Like, to go all in, help Israel finish the job. Like he just said, we couldn't even do it in Iraq. Look how long it took us to find fucking bin Laden. Are you crazy? We're not ready for a war like that. And then you have the threat of them using you got the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, like all they say. They can sneak those people in here, or they got secret cells already in America. We're a large melting pot. If you think the fucking Mexicans could get over here illegally, and the Asians and the Africans, and we're trying to deport them, and they're like, oh man, I don't like these immigrants. Wait till you get the fucking Middle Eastern immigrants coming in here. You going to Mexico and then sneaking their way in here to fucking blow up shit. Are you crazy? We need to stay out of this. America's not ready. Or maybe that's what we need. Or maybe Americans need to remember, like our grandparents had, our great-grandparents had when they had fucking shelter in place and practice. Woo! Alarms going off, and they had to get under their seats and shit. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we just been a little too soft. What they say, tough men create soft times create soft men, which then create tough times. Maybe this fucking generation's soft.
Job. How do you respond to Senator Graham's call to go all in and help Israel finish the job, Senator?
He ain't gonna put his kids out there.
Well, his initial response was game on, and I don't consider war to be a game. The hundreds of thousands of people that potentially will now die on both sides. For a couple thousand years, we've had this discussion over what is just war. Not only our civilization, but other civilizations have had this discussion. And one of the things that many people came to a conclusion was that preemptive or preventative war wasn't just. And so there is that. But there is also the idea that what happens to Iran, you imagine what happens in Iran now. Do they coalesce around their government, even though their government is unpopular? Does nationalism thrive? And you would think that they would probably be less likely to want to negotiate at this time, particularly when they may feel that negotiations were a ruse to put them at ease until the bombing happened. So I think it's going to be very hard to come out of this and have a negotiated settlement. I see more war and more carnage, and it's not the U.S.'s job to be involved in this war. Iraq was a mess. Afghanistan was a mess. And one of the things I like about President Trump is he has shown restraint. And so I think his instincts are to not be involved in this war, but there will be a lot of pressure from Lindsey Graham and others to get involved in this war. And I hope that his instincts will prevail.
All right, let's turn now to what we all witnessed here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, on Saturday. A military parade celebrating the 250th birthday of the Army here in Washington yesterday. You expressed some doubts ahead of the parade. President Trump says the parade was to showcase the Army's military might, even to inspire a new generation to sign up for military service. Senator, what do you say about that argument? Could the parade have that benefit of encouraging people to sign up and enlist?
This ain't 1950.
You know, I'm all for the president appearing and doing enlistment ceremonies at military bases. I've been with the president at Dover to receive home our dead soldiers, and so those who have been killed in action, and to mourn their loss. But I just never liked the idea of the parade, because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and the only parades I can remember are Soviet parades for the most part, or North Korean parades. And the parades I remember from our history were different. You know, everybody remembers that famous scene of the soldier, you know, dipping the girl and kissing the girl in New York in a ticker tape parade. But we were rejoicing the end of war, and we were rejoicing our soldiers coming home. And that absolutely ought to be commemorated and discussed every year, Memorial Day, Veterans Day. But we never glorified weapons so much. And I know he means well. I don't think he means for any of this to be depicted in another fashion, but I'm just not a big fan. And then there is the cost. I mean, we're $2 trillion in the hole, and just an additional cost like this, I'm not.
$45 million to do that parade. Like, come on, like, we're in 2025. Like, you had to do the parade before, I get it, maybe in the 80s, 70s, 90s, because, like, it would have been better to do a parade then, because like social media ain't out, news ain't spreading that fast. It would have been like a national thing and televised. But these kids ain't fucking worried about no parade. They playing Call of Duty and Fortnite. Motherfucker, they got guns. They like, we got that. We got those tanks. Like, this thing special. Like, it was useless. It was like a relic of a bygone era or something like that. And the cost $45 million. No.
Not for it.
I do want to get to the debt deficit momentarily, but first, let's talk about those ICE raids that have really dominated the week. We've seen them, anti-ICE raids, really across the country. You're the chair of the Homeland Security Committee, which means you have oversight over DHS. I want to play some sound for you from Governor Gavin Newsom. Take a listen to what he had to say about those ICE raids.
I was in Oxnard, California yesterday. I met with a 12-year-old boy, tears pouring down his face. His mom and dad snatched by agents. They were working the fields for over 20 years. He doesn't know where they are. He has no family in the United States. He's here alone, a sixth grader.
Senator, do you think the Trump deportation policy has gone too far?
You know, I live in a community, Bowling Green, Kentucky, where we have lots of first-generation immigrants. Many of my friends, many fellow physicians, they're new Americans. And I often say some of the best Americans just got here. That being said, that's lawful immigration. I don't think we can allow millions of people to come across the border. It just is transformative, but not in a good way. So I think we should, if anything, maybe expand lawful immigration, but we can't have illegal immigration. We can't have open borders. Now, how we tackle this is a difficult situation, because we have California governors like Newsom and the mayor of Los Angeles who are resisting federal law. And if you go all the way back to the Civil War, one of the conclusions of the Civil War, and particularly the Civil Rights era, is that there are times when the federal government will step in if local officials are resisting the law. So when people are arrested for doing bad things, they're arrested for assault, if you don't check their status and you don't deport them after that, you're disobeying federal law. And I think the one thing that brings us together, conservative, Republican, Democrat, Independent, is I think most people want the people committing crime to be deported. And if it sticks to that, I think we'll be fine. When it extends to children and workers, even the president's backed off a little bit on this. He says now we're not going to deport agriculture, hotel workers, and others. And, you know, somebody on the internet this morning says, well, all you have to do is you need to change your job and be an agricultural worker.
Do you support those carve-outs, Senator? Do you support those carve-outs? The carve-outs for farmers, agricultural workers, hotel workers?
I'm a big advocate of the farm worker program and worker programs in general. And I think he's talking about a carve-out for people who are not in the program. He's talking about people who are illegally doing that work. I think that we should do something. I've been an advocate for a policy such that we can accept more workers. And I've always thought the trade-off would be you don't get citizenship. Everybody's always said, oh, we got to have a pathway to citizenship. What if you don't get citizenship, but you get to work and you don't have to worry and fear deportation? I think actually many people who are here now who are working would probably accept the trade-off.
You have been one of the most outspoken Republican critics of President Trump's tax and spend bill, what he has called the big, beautiful bill. You have said it raises the debt ceiling by far too much. Trump called you, quote, the toughest vote in the history of the U.S. Senate. Senator, let me ask you, as of today, are you a yes on this bill or a no?
No.
Well, I take that as a compliment, and I talked to the president last evening after the parade, and we're trying to get to a better place in our conversations, and I've let him know that I'm not an absolute no. I can be a yes. I like the tax cuts. I actually agree with Art Laffer and the supply siders that a lot of times we cut rates, we actually get more revenue, so I don't have as much trouble with the tax cuts. I think there should be more spending cuts. But if they want my vote, they'll have to negotiate because I don't want to vote to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. You know, Congress is awful with money, and so you should give them a more restricted credit line, not an expansive one. Yes, the debt ceiling has to go up, but what I've said is it ought to go up 3 months at a time, and then we should have a renewed debate about the debt. We shouldn't put it up $5 trillion and wait 2 years, go through another election cycle and be almost towards the end of the Trump administration and say, oh, whoops, we have added a bunch of debt. We should have done better. I think we should keep talking about it.
Senator, very quickly, I have 2 more questions and 1 minute left. What's it going to take to get you to a yes specifically, very quickly?
You just said.
Separate out the debt ceiling and have a separate vote on it. And I won't be the deciding vote on this. Is this what I tell my supporters? I will be. If I am the deciding vote, they'll negotiate. If I'm not, they won't. So far, they've been, sending their attack dogs after me. And that's not a great persuasion technique. But I will negotiate if they come to me, but they have to.
He said, you can't do that IPAC shit. You ain't coming in, you better do it, or you're going to be kicked out the country club. He like, I don't care. That's what we need, though. The older guys got to be like Senator Rand Paul. I ain't even, up on him like that about his history, but he's talking fucking common sense here about all the topics so far.
To be willing to negotiate on the debt ceiling because I'm conservative and I'm not going to, no longer be conservative just because the president wants me to vote for something.
All right, Senator, very quickly, let me get your reaction to Senator Alex Padilla, who interrupted a press conference that was being held by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. He was handcuffed, wrestled to the ground. The House Speaker says he should be censured. Do you agree? Should he be censured for that?
I don't like the images of him on the ground and being handcuffed, but I also didn't like the images of moms at school board meetings being handcuffed. I didn't like the images of peaceful January 6th protesters or people assembled there being taken to the ground in airports and handcuffed. So that I don't like. But at the same time, the other side to it is, can you rush a stage? Can you rush into a press conference? And I think they didn't. I think they honestly didn't recognize him. He rushed the stage. There was sort of a physical tussle. I think it could have ended with that without the handcuffs. But also, I don't think there's a complete, get out of jail free that, there's no repercussions for rushing the stage and there's no criticism for rushing the stage. So I think it's a complicated story and I think we can do a better job. But I'm not about to say it's all on one side or the other.
So you wouldn't be for censuring him? You're a no on censuring him, Senator?
No. I'm not for censoring him.
Okay.
I think that's crazy. I'm not for that at all. So.
Okay. Senator, thank you so much. Senator Rand Paul, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Senator Rand Paul. So what y'all think? I mean, he spoke on the Israeli-Iran thing. We shouldn't be involved. That's my whole thing on why? Why the fuck are we doing this? We're going through so much hurt and trial and tribulation. It's like almost if a family member asks you for some money and you ain't got it, but you got to pay your rent. You're already short $200, but you still give them the money for their rent. It's crazy. We got protests happening, LA, New York, whatever, all over. It's like we're fighting. We're literally fighting a two-front war, like the immigration war, Ukraine war, Israeli war. But then we get on Iran and Russia and China. They got these proxies. Iran, we know the name of all these Iranian groups. Oh, the Hezbollah, Houthis. But we don't know the U.S. groups that's out there. The U.S. has got the same one. Is it the Ukraine? Is it Israel? Right? we use Israel in the same way that Iran used those proxy groups. Oh, they're not fighting directly, but wait, we're gonna give him the gun. Ain't that at least like a conspiracy charge? Like you were involved, you knew what was going on. Like you're pretending that, hey, let's have this negotiation and let's come to something and we're gonna come back but hey, they're gonna bomb the shit out you. You better hurry up. Oh, like no, like if I'm Iran, I'm like, who are you? Like you telling me that you pressuring me to hurry up. I thought we was having a good faith negotiation, and you telling me like, oh, if I don't agree to what you're saying, that they're gonna bomb me. Like bring it on. Like don't pretend to be my friend. Like don't pretend to be this third party neutral person that just want to see things happen. Like, but they bomb us. You're like, oh, we knew about it. And we just knew it was coming. Like it's so sad. Ooh, they better hurry up before it get worse. And then when they strike, you just, oh no, we're not in it. But you blocking their shit. Like I feel like this America, like what happened to us? I feel like we're being controlled by another country. Like, is this how third world countries feel? Like, because it don't feel like we're running it. It feels like we're just. And then you got the religious people, like the Bible, like, oh, Jesus, God is on Israel, and they shall win might. They making this like a Christian Muslim thing instead of a fucking people versus people, and maybe it's two bads. You ever think of that? Maybe there is no good. Maybe both governments are terrible. Iranian regime and the fucking current Netanyahu regime. Like, why can't they be two? Y'all remember that? Two wrongs? Like, yeah, maybe both of y'all wrong. Stop trying to find who's correct or who's really, Like, are you kidding me? Like, Gazans was dying and Palestinians were dying way before October 7th happened. And they were being in jail and persecuted. Didn't it happen? Or Israel has the right to respond. Okay, did they respond for 2 fucking years? And then they start striking Iran? Are you kidding me? I'll be surprised if other Muslim nations don't even get in there and start to do something. And then you go to the ICE stuff. Like, yeah, like there should be something for forums because the average American don't want to work those fucking forums in California. It's hot, it's blistering, the pay is bad, and then what's gonna happen? You're gonna have to pay regular citizens, and then it's gonna go up. So I get it. Maybe and then the prices of the fruit and shit go up, or we live without them. We say, okay, well, we don't need no avocados, so then we bite the bullet. You can't have it both ways, but it can't be illegal immigration. You just can't say, oh yeah, we're gonna look the other way because we really need those fruits. So we know they're illegal, but we ain't going to bother them. No, then that's stupid. That's not how the law works. So if everybody got to get out, everybody got to get out. They come back in the right way, get some type of special farm worker visa to work here and be here legally, but to just like leave them and not say nothing or do nothing. No, that's just as bad as the companies then hiring these illegal immigrants and then like paying them under the table. That's the same fucking thing. So if they bad and we don't like that, then we can't like none of it. But let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. Y'all rocking with Senator Rand Paul? I like it. I like him. He said it. I like when he said, hey, the president, we could negotiate or you could send the attack dogs after me, but that's not a good negotiation tactic. And they using that same shit with Iran, trying to send the attack dogs, say, oh yeah, you better hurry up, pressure you. That's not a negotiation. If one person feels pressured or they got a gun to their head, then that's not a true negotiation. That's somebody's bullying you into doing something. That's coercion, right? Let me know what y'all think, Cave Dwellers. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let's talk about it. I'm open. Let's talk about it.